Welcome to Cook the Math, where culinary art meets mathematical precision. Thank you for joining. We are back with another episode of Dine or DIY, where we take different restaurant or fast food menu items and we compare it to if you were to get the ingredients from the store and make them yourself. And in this episode, I'm going to start with a bit of how this came to be. So I have a friend who is vegan, and she recommended that for an episode that I do a vegan menu item. She recommended the Impossible Whopper, but we are going to do that at a later episode. So what I wanted to do instead was find something that was completely 100% vegan. And after doing some research, I found Blaze Pizza, and they had a fully vegan pizza as well as a vegetarian pizza, and we are going to do that for this episode. So we are going to look at our ingredients for this, and that includes the following. We have our pizza crust or pizza dough, our pizza sauce, vegan cheese, vegan chorizo, mushrooms, onions, our green bell peppers, so I'm going to say G for green, basil, and our olive oil drizzle. So I'm just going to use olive oil. Now, as usual, what we're going to do is we are going to divide our table up into 3 different tiers. Our first one, of course, is our total price, and that is the total for if you were to get it at the store. Next up is our price per serving, and that is where we divide the total price by how many servings there are. And the last category is price per part, where we see how much of the item we use, and we then multiply it. Now, normally what I would do is I would look up the images from the Walmart website or Google Images, and I told you this is where I got them from, and here's the price, there's pictures. But this is the one instance where there really isn't a recipe for this, nor is there certain amounts that you need to have. So what I decided to do was actually get all of these ingredients from Walmart, with the exception of one ingredient, which we will talk about in a bit. So I will be transferring this over to the video recording to tell you all the prices and the amounts. So these are all the ingredients that I got from not only Walmart, but also one other store for one particular ingredient. And if you notice right away that there is already a pizza crust there, for one good reason. First off, I did get the pizza crust from Great Value, and that costs $2.64 for one pizza crust. I would not recommend getting that though, because twice when I have tried to order the item, and as I was taking it home, it did explode. So I would either get one of those pre-made crusts, or one you make yourself, or a different brand entirely. Also keep in mind that, as I mentioned before, all these ingredients are from Walmart, with the exception of one item from a different store. We will get to that in a moment. And the price may vary depending on what brand you get, what store you get, as well as where you are from. Next up is the Great Value pizza sauce. And that right there costs $1.52 for a cup and a half. Next up was the vegan cheese, and the only brand that they had there was the Better Goods plant-based mozzarella, and that one there costs $2.67 for 2 cups. Next is the spicy chorizo, which I thought was not going to be at Walmart, but they did have one from Morningstar Farms, the chorizo crumbles. That one there was the most expensive item at $5.94, and that is for 3 cups. Next up was the mushrooms, and the mushrooms I got are from Highline, and those cost $1.97, but we do need to count how many slices there are so we can get a more accurate description of what we're going to put on this pizza. So let's count how many sliced mushrooms we have, and we are going to rinse them afterwards. 1, 2, 25, and we do have a few left over that I'm not going to use, so let's say that's about 30. Now, along with that, we do have a few more toppings. Our green pepper. I did not have a lot at Walmart, but it's just your typical standard green pepper. This was the best one I could find. And that green bell pepper cost 68 cents. Next up is the onion. And the onion is about 75 cents per pound. This is a little over that. So I got this one for $1.08. Our second to last ingredient is the basil. This one I got from Meyer Farms, but this was at Aldi because Walmart did not have any basil available. And that one costed $1.75. Now let's count the basil, see how many leaves we have, and we're going to wash them afterwards. These do come in the branches. 1, 17, 18, and there's a few that I'm not going to use, so we're going to round that up to 20. Now, the only thing that I did not show that I already had was the olive oil, and that is Great Value's Classic Olive Oil, and the cost of that was $6.64 for 34 tablespoons. Now, what we're going to do is the dollar per serving by dividing the total price by how many servings there are. So pizza dough is pretty straightforward. You just divide that by 1, and that's still $2.64. It also can be $1 per part because, as you saw, we use the entire pizza crust. For our pizza sauce, we take $1.52 divided by 1.5, and that's about $1.01. For our vegan cheese, we take $2.67 divided by 2, and that's about $1.34. Our vegan chorizo is $5.94 divided by 3, and that comes to an even $1.98 per cup. For our mushrooms, it's $1.97 divided by 30, and that's about 7 cents per mushroom slice. Onions is $1.08. Our peppers is 68 cents still. Our basil, $1.75 divided by 20 is about 9 cents. And then our olive oil, $6.64 divided by 34 is about 20 cents per tablespoon. Now we're going to go back to the kitchen and properly measure the ingredients that we used, so that way we can properly calculate this order. So now that we have all of our ingredients, what I'm going to do is I am going to assemble the pizza. I made the vegan chorizo according to the package directions, and I rinsed all the vegetables needed. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup for the pizza sauce and for the chorizo, and for the rest of them will be as is. So let's assemble the pizza. I'm going to do a 1/4 cup at a time. Okay. I'd say about 3/4 of the sauce. Now I'm going to use the vegan cheese. And I probably used about half that. Next is our spicy chorizo. I would say probably about 3/4 of a cup. Next up is our mushrooms. Let's say 6 of those. Now for the onion. And it looks like they use the slivers, so I'm going to use the slicer here. I would say that's about 1/16 of that onion. Next up is our pepper. I would say about half of a green bell pepper. Our last two ingredients are the basil leaves and the olive oil drizzle. About 4 of those. Say 5. Lastly is our olive oil, and we're going to do this in tablespoon increments. And I would say about a tablespoon, give or take. Now we can bake this. So I did end up trying the pizza, and while the taste was okay, I did find it to be very greasy because most of the vegan ingredients did have oil in it, and on top of that, we did have olive oil as part of our ingredients. But speaking of which, let's calculate and see how much of that we used. So for our pizza sauce, we would take $1.01, multiply that by 3/4, and that gets us to about 76 cents. For our vegan cheese, that can stay the same at $1.34. Our vegan chorizo is also 3/4 of a cup, $1.98 times 3/4, and that gets us $1.49. For our mushrooms, that's be about 35 cents, 7 cents times 5. Our onions, we'll take $1.08 and times that by 1/16, and that gets us about 7 cents. Our green bell peppers, we take 68 cents divided by 2. That's 34 cents. 9 cents times 5 for the basil, that's 45 cents. And then lastly, for our olive oil, that is 20 cents. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add everything together. And once we do the math, we find that all of this is $7.64. Now on Blaze's website, you can get their vegan pizza as well as their other pizzas for $11.99, which means that if we subtract $11.99 and $7.64, it's going to be $4.35 cheaper to make. And if you were to add everything in the total price, see how much it is to make everything, it would cost $24.89. So in this case, if you were craving pizza, it is cheaper to make it than to go to Blaze Pizza. And also keep in mind that this is just what Blaze offers. You can put whatever toppings you want, whether that be another vegan sausage crumble, or if you want to put pineapple on your pizza, even though most people are against that, that is your decision. But these are the ingredients that were provided on Blaze's website. Anyway, if you have a suggestion on what I should calculate next, be sure to comment that below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and keep on cooking and calculating.